euros for every donation. You are allowed to donate 50 times a year. This makes about 25 euros every week, and 100 euros a month. This is your food you can get out of it, or your with this you can eat well. So especially if you know how to cook some stuff with cheap, or if you know how to cook delicious meals with cheap ingredients. So, and in Austria, there I was struggling to make ends meet, and there I would donate my plasma, get the money, and some of these experiences I shared in the Lifesaver. I mean, do not make a mistake about it. Even though I went in there, even though I donated my plasma, they don't treat you well there. They treat you pretty much like shit. I mean, this is they. If you go in this plasma center in Austria, they do not appreciate your donation, despite the fact they talk about how important it is that you donate plasma, and that they would need that, and so on and so forth. But for a matter of fact, they pretty much treat you like shit. So, and this was the reason. I mean, if I wouldn't have gotten money, I wouldn't have donated my plasma, seriously. So even though with the pandemic is going on, so if someone would have told me, why don't you donate plasma for free, then I would have said no, because of the reason that my plasma would have most certainly, or does, save only Austrians and Germans. Why? And it is pretty much clear that Austrians and Germans, they don't know what it has been like, because this is pretty much hideous. I mean, if you donate your plasma or blood, you some sort of expect that people treat you accordingly, that people appreciate you, that people like to see you, and so on, and not that you are being attacked racially, that you have to listen to racial slurs, that people even try to hurt you, try to hurt your vein, and that you have to deal with some very notorious and hideous people who just want to hurt you in a very mean way, and then so on and so forth. So this is something you don't expect, and I think this is something you should not do. So if you are being treated like that, you should have, I mean, of course, if you have enough money, if you have enough dignity, then you can walk away. But I couldn't. Of course, I did not donate plasma to help people. Why would I care about racists? No, I couldn't care less as far as me concerned. Those Austrians and Germans, they can drop dead. I don't care for any Austrian or German who dies on this COVID virus. So, and I wouldn't donate it without the money. However, but I could not avoid it. I mean, and this was the reason why I felt so helpless. I mean, and this is what I try to some sort of write or convey in Lifesaver, what I've been writing now. So this helplessness, or all these protagonists in the novel, in this screenplays. Originally I wanted to write it as a novel, but because I don't have a laptop, or because my laptop was destroyed, I then decided to write it as a screenplay because of what pad is not very suitable for long and extensive novels, because this would have been a very extensive novel, and because you have to write it on the phone. I mean, on what pad you cannot write it, or at least, I mean, you can't write it on the browser or something. You really have to use the app. So, and this is pretty much arduous in a way, if you have to write pages after pages on your mobile phone. So without a keyboard, you have only the screen. So in that sense, it made sense, or it was the right choice and the decision to write it, make a screenplay out of it, and then publish it on Wattpad. And however, and right there, one key importance was for me to some sort of show this helplessness. I mean, you cannot avoid it. I mean, as well as some of these occurrences happened to me as well. I mean, I talked about it as well. I mean, this is pretty much hideous. If you sit in the university, or if you sit in the somewhere where you have to be there and you can't avoid it, and people next to you talk about how to get rid of you, how to harvest your organs and so on. So this is pretty much hideous, and I wanted to share this experience, and this is happening in Austria, in an industrialized world, and I think I talked about it a great deal, that Austria is a failed state, is a hideous state, it is a despicable culture, it is depraved to its core, and this is pretty much inhumane in that sense. However, and this is, it is not easy to some sort of convey this, but one key emotion, and this is how I built actually those screenplays, which I thought is some sort of a great connection and the arc of a story. If you have some sort of a ground emotion, one key emotion, which is some sort of grabs the scene, or is the motive and the theme of the screenplay, and this was the key emotion of Lifesaver, is helplessness. In a way, you can't escape it, you don't know what to do it, you feel trapped, and even though you what is there, even though you feel it, you can't avoid it because you need money and so on. So this is how I felt in Austria, and this gave me the idea for this screenplay. And more is to come, of course. However, but again, one key issue as well as was, I mean, I'm a migrant. I mean, this is, and I talked about it a little bit. I mean, I'm a Turkish migrant who was born in Austria and grew up in Austria. I mean, German is my mother tongue. However, and I some sort of understood, I mean, if I would now write about issues, about specifically about Austria, about Germany, about Turkish migrants, what's been happening there, people would not be very much interested, because what does an American or someone in Great Britain know about Turkish migrant and so on? But then I discovered one thing, that in the US, as well as in some parts in UK and as well as in Australia, this is actually pretty much similar. What a struggle that the Hispanic community has in the US is pretty much similar to the struggle some people from the Middle East have in Europe being accepted. And this was one of the reasons why I said I wanted to translate these migrant identities or this migrant identity as a Middle Eastern man into English as well, so that it's not being lost. So this means that it wouldn't have it wouldn't have been understood as much if I would have wrote it from a Turkish migrant perspective, because then people would have said, yeah, this is something confined only to the Turkish community. This has nothing to do with the overall narrative. Now, this was I wanted to make it understandable in general, that this is not only confined to the Turkish community. What is been happening there in Austria as well as in Germany. Now, this is it is a human issue, and that's why I chose some sort of Hispanic, or this is the reason why many protagonists, especially in Lifesaver, are Hispanics. So in order to translate this migrant identity I have as a Middle Eastern man into English as well, so that it does not get lost, because I stopped writing in German. And this, of course, this is something I have to mention as well. And this is, I don't speak Spanish, so I had Spanish in school, yes, but I was a lazy slug. I never really learned Spanish. The only thing I know about Spanish, or still remember about Spanish, is probably the headline of the first lección, and this is El Mundo del Español, and this is pretty much all the Spanish I know. So I don't know Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I know a little bit French because I had it in school longer. But however, so despite the fact I write about the Spanish community in the US, despite the fact that in this screenplays as well as in my novels, the Latino community plays a crucial role, this is a bit complicated, because it is actually meant that this is part of this Middle Eastern identity I have, and which I did want to some sort of maintain, did want to preserve and translate into English as well, especially the perspective from a migrant point of view. I think this is very important, and I knew a little bit of sociology on it, or I studied part of sociology and so on, and I then understood more and more that the Hispanic community in the US pretty much has the same struggles as the Middle Eastern community in Europe as well. Because one thing I said about this is always in odds, because we from the Middle East, we are actually not black. This makes it very difficult in a way to align yourself with the black narration, or with the narration of black people. No, we are still white, but it is some sort of a culturally difference. There is a cultural difference which is being then maintained by the host society. However, we will talk about this in detail the next time. This was Adem Kirbas from Ordu. We are still in the pandemic in this August day, and I hope that you get through all this disaster what is happening around us. Bye.